right now? Or as you try to project it toward August and September?
Really a lot. Really a lot. But, you know, the thing is, too, is we have a lot of young guys, and the tempo is really good for them right now. And it's some really probably unrealistic for a lot of the things. It's going really fast, but our kids are doing a good job with that. You know, the biggest concern is being able to handle some of the things that we're going to see during the year that we're not seeing, you know, and we have to find a way to manufacture some things down in our defensive practices to, you know, with a tight end and, you know, some of those type of things. But, you know, I think with our players, they just need the reps, you know, and you know, I mean, we're getting a good, you know, look as to, but we're not going to see a lot of those things. We've got to, you know, our progression is more of the two-back, you know, run game, and then move on from that. So we got a lot of work to do yet, believe me.
Do you worry about not seeing 21 personnel now, or is that something you worry about in the fall, or would you like to see some of that now too?
Well, you know, it's not just 21 personnel. It's just, you know, being able to see some 11 and 12 and those things. I mean, we can manufacture those things, and our guys offensively will give us those things in inside drill. You know, so we just have to manufacture those things, but we're going to have to. We really have to work hard to stop the run first and foremost, so we can get ourselves into situations where we can put Bruce Irvin and some of those guys, some of those fast kids we have, and let them get after the quarterback.
With how long Najee Good has been kind of waiting for this opportunity that came last year suddenly because of Pat, I mean, has he really stepped up as a leader as well? That he's doing all this stuff off the field too? Yeah, he's really in the linebacker room has taken over for JT and Pat and Anthony, and he's excited, and he's really having a great spring. In fact, I will eventually probably remove him from some of the reps to let these other guys, you know, because he's, you know, he knows what he's doing. He's playing really well right now. So and let him. I can use him as an assistant coach a little bit, which I still can't believe I'm asking Najee Good to help me coach, but he's really doing a good job.
He's the guy most capable of moving around. I know she played him with Mike today.
Yeah, Naj can play all of them, you know, and he has played all of them, and that's what made him so valuable to us even before last year. He was a kid that I can insert any place, and you know, he could go play the Will, he could play the Mike, or he could play the Sam.
What about your other two? They're relatively new, Busick and Casey and all of them. They didn't get a lot of playing time, maybe special teams or anything last year. How are they filling in?
Well, you know, the other guys, other than Naj, nobody has really played, and that's the reason why you're seeing so many different kids out there. And you know, I'm not looking at it as the guys out with the ones, the guys out with the twos. We're just letting kids get reps, and eventually we'll settle in. But there's a lot of kids that are, you know, get an opportunity to show what they can do. You know, so that, you know, we're just evaluating the kids right now.
You said yesterday, Naj, that a lot of the young guys they don't say much, and is that an intimidation factor, or they're afraid to say something, or JT Thomas not in the room, or what?
You know, I don't know. I think those guys are still probably feeling their way around, you know, and it's the first time that they've been in the position to, you know, they have to step up, and you know, those kids are okay. They'll get better the more confident they get, but you know, they're still learning what we need them to do, and we didn't install anything the last day or so, just so those kids, you know, at the back, or those kids at the safety spots, those kids can, you know, learn to play a little bit instead of be thinking right now. So,
does it help, Jeff, that when you have a young group like you have and you're going to have, that most of the attention is everybody's talking about the new offense, and you guys can just work and get better and that sort of thing, like the media attention, the fan attention?
Well, really, we don't concern ourselves with the media attention or the fan attention. I mean, we just come out every day and go to work, and that those are, you know, we don't really, we know we have a lot of work to do, and you know, there's a lot of everybody knows we lost some good football players, but we also have some good football players here. We just got to get them all on the same page, and that's why we're practicing at this point. And for the most part, I think the kids are doing a pretty good job. And the thing that we hinder our guys with a little bit is because we're not out there with the same group all the time. And this is a game that you got to get used to playing with people, and we keep mixing and matching, and I think that hinders the kids a little bit. But we're still looking at people, not necessarily just the overall look right now.
When full pads today, but didn't tackle to the ground again, is that a little bit of a departure from last spring?
No, we really haven't been when we scrimmage, we'll normally go live, but we try to save the kids. It's a long season for the kids. They finished up really in January, and here they are at the end of March, beginning of April, right back in it. So that's a pretty big grind on those kids. So we try to stay off their legs as best we can when we're not scrimmaging.
Just have to worry about developing any bad habits though with tackling form, with finishing.
Well, that's always a concern, but I mean, if you've ever been to any of our practices, we haven't been tackling live for 8 years. I mean, we had Steve Slayton and those guys. We're not getting on their legs, and there were some situations out here where our kids would have normally thrown, but what do we care if the kid made a 3-yard play diving at the kid's knees and hurt a kid? And we're all on the same team. We're just trying to get better. So we try to keep kids off each other's legs, and that's one of the issues.
Normally each spring you throw in a few wrinkles, a couple of things. Have you experimented any with just looking at stuff?
No, we're just trying to look at the base stuff right now, but no, we're not. We will eventually, but the kids will control that. But we're still trying. Yeah, we're just trying to teach them the base defense and go from there. You can't do anything unless you know what your base is.
It seems the last couple of years, things like not giving up the long play, stuff like that has been a focus. Is there a focus like that, something specific that you look at last year, you want to get better at a certain thing? Turnovers
I mean, obviously you want to be able to force more turnovers. I think that was something, and in the past we've been able to do that. Last year we weren't able to do that, but again, I think our goal right now is to evaluate kids, try to let them create an identity for themselves, find some leaders, find some guys that can work when they're tired, and can come out and not make the same mistake over and over each day. That's our focus. I mean, we're not going to play until September, so we got a long way to go yet before we have to be ready to play.
Are you seeing any leaders develop over the first couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously Keith Tandy is obviously a leader. I think Julian Miller is. I think Najee Good does a good job of leading for us, and being a leader also is guys that take full speed reps in adverse conditions that maybe they're not the most vocal guy, but you can be a leader in a lot of different ways, and so we have some young kids that are stepping up, but we'll be okay with leadership wise. So those kids that I mentioned know what it takes to win, and they know what kind of standard they want to have on defense here. So we'll have plenty of leaders.
Speaking of Najee, I think he had an interception earlier today. Were you happy with some of the turnovers they were able to make with Bruce stripping the ball and then?
Those are things that again we're just repping things out, but obviously if we can get into turnovers, that's a good deal for us, and I think that was an emphasis with Kurlav right now, and trying to get the second guy in to pull the ball out, and Bruce got one, so
Look at a guy like Bruce Irvin, he's starting to prove to you that he's an every down player. What have you seen so far?
Well, I mean, right now he's really seeing the same thing he saw all last year. It's pass. You know what I mean? So, he's doing a pretty good job right now. But Bruce is making strides. Like I said before, Bruce is a guy who wants to be an every down player. He's going to be an every down player, and he's got a great teacher in Bill Kurlavich. I mean, so he'll be just fine.
It's like,
guys
Coach,
are killing me.
how difficult is it for you to grade your defense, especially considering they haven't seen this offense? How can you assess like a grade to it?
Well, we're looking at the kids in terms of their alignment, their responsibility. Are they getting in the right spot, no matter what it is that they're seeing? So I mean, we have ways to evaluate them, and it's basically, are they executing what we have asked them to do with whatever the defense is called?
You guys might, a little smaller on the defensive front if you're going to have Bruce and Julian on there. But do you think too much is made, about guys being big just for the sake of being big when you've been successful with guys like Doug Slavonic and other guys who weren't made to the heavens?
Well, I mean, I think, a lot of things are made into bigger situations than they are. We'll find out how big we are when we start playing. And that's, again, these kids just came off a month and a half of lifting, and where they're going to make a lot of gains size-wise is over the summer. So I think we'll concern ourselves with that once we get a little bit closer to what we're doing. But Bruce Irvin's a pretty fast guy, and if he grabbed a hold of it, he's a pretty strong guy too. So and Julian has put on some size, but I don't know. It remains to be seen. I'm not really overly concerned that we're any smaller. We've been small, we've been big. It's just being able to play good football and it being fundamental. So I don't really concern ourselves with that right now.
Players seem to be pretty impressed with Francis stepping in. Can you kind of give an assessment of his? Well,
Josh is playing. He's still learning, obviously, but he's really a talented kid. He can run. Obviously, anybody that watches him practice, it doesn't. It's not hard to tell his explosiveness, and he has the ability to get from 0 to 60 pretty quick, and so he can accelerate, and I think. I was talking to him coming off the field that, eventually things will start becoming less cloudy for him, and when those happen, we want him to play as a natural player, and that's what our goal is right now. And he's got to learn some basic concepts within the defense, but and he's doing a good job with that.
How quickly is everyone starting just to react rather than having to think too much about it?
Well, there's still a lot of thinking going on out there. There's no question, but and again, because you're not getting, you have different levels of kid out there that understand what's going on, and then you got a new kid that he was running the scout team last year, so there's some different levels of understanding out there. So depends on where you look. We've got a few guys out there that are doing some good things and know what they're doing. There's a lot of young kids that are still playing their high school defense.
What about the cornerback position besides Keith Taylor?
We're just still evaluating guys. So but there's a lot of able players out there. We just have to determine who's going to be the best one.
You talked about the speed of Francis. Have you ever thought about using Bruce and then Josh as the pass rush in the season?
We haven't even got to, we're still trying. We're day 6 of spring ball, my man. So, we haven't really started game planning anything yet, really. So, but we do understand that you have a couple guys there that have a chance to be, explosive, and that's what we'll do over the summer once we finish up with spring ball to try to see what we can do to help these guys utilize their strengths.
I know you say you're evaluating. You keep saying, we're just evaluating right now.
That's what's called practice.
Yeah. Going back to the grade, can you give your how would you grade your defense?
I wouldn't grade
now?
them right now. No. Why? Because we've had 6 practices. Did you play? Yeah, exactly. So we've had 6 football practices, and we're installing some things for our guys, and we're just looking at them to execute. I think that our kids are doing a good job of what we're asking them to do, but I don't have a grade. I don't look at it like that. We're trying to see who we think can be a football player and who can't be a football player right now for us.
I think you can answer this, I hope. Different perspective on what I was asking Dana about his 3-back offense. Mm-hmm. You don't see that very often in a passing situation. What do you think that is, a defensive guy looking at it?
I really like that. I think that's a really, and I think that we are going to see that throughout the year. I think that.
What do you mean? Oh, from him?
No, and our opponents.
Really?
Yeah.
Who else does that? I just thought it was like a fairly uncommon, like unusual thing. You don't see.
Right. I think that's going to be the what is happening in college football. I think when people, it's a copy sport. So if people have success with it, there's a good chance that we'll probably, I would imagine, we would probably see that at some point.
When you sit down, you look at it, I know it's early and maybe you haven't seen much of it, but what do you look at? What does it do that as a defensive guy you got to be wary of trying to? I'm sure football's football, but that's obviously there because it does something to the defense. Correct?
Oh yeah, that poses problems because they have a chance to really insert a tight end or a lead back or outnumber you at the point of attack. So
time to change it.
Right, and they're balanced. So and it's a lot like our defense is that you have three guys. Where's the overload coming from? And it's the same thing in the run game.
I mean, you think wishbone offenses and triple options when they have three backs. He's going to have a shotgun. Guys are going to have a shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Is the blocking similar, different?
No, it's zone blocking.
Right.
Just zone blocking.
Okay. And the funny thing is, it frees up receivers because there's more guys in the backfield. I guess you got to shrink it. I guess and you're more isolated, have better matchups outside.
Well, you could say that. I mean, have three backs in the backfield and two wideouts. So, you go out and cover the wideouts and take your chances on stopping a three-back run deal or drop a safety in and, go one-on-one with the corners.
But you like it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's real good. I think it's, I believe the Packers ran a little bit of that in the Super Bowl, and, I think that we're going to see that probably as the year goes on.
I think maybe even last year, but it was mostly a goal line. You guys went to that every so often. Put three bigger guys.
I don't even know. I didn't pay my back's to
well, yeah,
they're on the
that's
sideline.
Not fair to ask, I guess. But I mean, you think of it as like a short yardage or a run thing, and there's different ways to do it, obviously.
There's always different ways to skin a cat. But,
get used to it, I guess, right?
Yep.
Right, thank you.
Yep.
With having Bruce on one side, how is it going to allow Julian to kind of do a little bit more, maybe? Will it?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Having Bruce on one side of the line, will it free up Julian to do?
Well, it's like it was last year. Julian was on that side and Bruce was on that side.
But every play, I guess, or more so than it would be.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it was like that last year, so it's really the same deal. I think that I think that Bruce was a guy that, as the season wore on, they said, "Well, we better find a way to block that guy."
Yeah.
But the guy who gets forgotten a lot in the whole deal is Julian Miller. He's a pretty good football player, and he's been a consistent football player here the last couple of years. So. I think it depends on what's going to happen. Are they going to slide the protection to Bruce? They're going to slide the protection to Julian. That's.
How have you seen Julian grow since? I know he came in and he was kind of light for what.
Yeah, he's gotten a lot bigger and stronger, and has built himself into a good football player.
Yeah.
But, he come in here as a 215-pound guy. But he's worked, and that's usually what happens. They'll come in here and work, and they get bigger and stronger as they matriculate through the program.
How much of a disadvantage is it having a smaller or a lighter line this year? What can you do to fix that type of stuff? Julian was saying a little bit about more focus on fundamentals. Is that kind of the?
Yeah, I mean, I think that again. Everything gets kind of blown out of proportion. What we have to do is let's wait and see where we're at in the fall with these guys, and obviously we don't have a 300-pound nose guard in there, but we have a 285-pound nose guard in there. We don't have a 285-pound 5 technique. Right now we have a 265-pound 5 technique. So you know, and the kids are going to get bigger and stronger. That's what the summer lifting program is. So, you know, we'll wait and see, you know, about that. But, you know, Johnny Dingle played for us at 240, 245 pounds, a pretty good player. And, you know, Bruce Irvin's a 240, 245 pound kid. So, you know, I think we've had those type of kids before. We just have to, you know, find out what their strengths are and try to play to that.